Being a salesperson is not a bad thing. The perception of being a salesperson is what is a bad thing. What that means is if a prospect, client, customer ever says the words to you that you are a great salesperson, there's a strong possibility that that is not a compliment. What they might be saying is, stop it now, I don't like it. We're not actually looking for applause for our sales skills. That's not the sign of a job well done in this business. We're actually chasing something very different. What we're chasing is gratitude. We're looking to get people to say thank you for the results that we help them achieve. And still pay the money we ask, but gratitude is the goal we're looking for. If you thought I could teach you to be more pushy, better at telling lies, creating the ability for people to see something different in what you're selling than what was the truth, wrong room. But if you want to understand how people can understand why to choose you as opposed to somebody else, why now as opposed to later, and then thank you for the outcome, well, that's exactly what we're here for. But I did say there were two tiny, massive lessons in that example too. And the second is perhaps a touch more profound. See, in that example, I changed one word, correct? I changed us from stereotypical to professional. And when I changed one word, you, my friends, changed all of the words. Interesting. You saw a completely different image in your mind's eye, yes? Completely different. And when you saw one, you're like, I like it. And when you saw the other, you went like, heck no. Therefore, could it be possible in your daily interactions, the conversations you're having with others, the other person doesn't always see what you're saying? They see something different. And what they see matters more than what you said. You're going to learn in our time together today just how pedantic I am about word choices. And I'm going to share some more about that later. But before I do so, answer me this. Salespeople, are they born or made, born or made, born or made? What do you think? Well, let me rephrase the question. What does a 3-year-old do when they want something? What's the first thing they do? First thing they do is they ask, right? Failing that, what do? They ask again and again and again and again. Failing that, what do? Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Who in this room either has a 3-year-old or was a 3-year-old? Therefore, we were all born with the innate ability to be able to ask for the things that we want in life, correct? Every single one of us was born with the innate ability to be able to ask. So finish this sentence for me. If you do not ask, you do not get, you do not receive. In businesses like this, particularly franchise systems, I see people think that the strategy for new client acquisition is wishing, waiting, hoping, and praying for new clients, as opposed to asking for them. There's nothing wrong with wishing, waiting, hoping, and praying. Those things can be helpful too. But if we're not asking, we're not getting. And your success is in direct correlation to the quantity of quality asks that you make in your life. Much of my work is about removing friction and making it easier for people to ask for the things that they want. I mentioned I wrote a tiny little book about them, and it probably leads to me sharing what I believe to be the most important lesson I came to share with all of you here today. And the most important lesson I came to share with all of you here today is hang on. Oh yeah, that's it. When is the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say? It's in the very moment where you're saying it. How many times have you walked away from an important conversation and thought shoulda, woulda, coulda? How many times have you stepped away from an important conversation and thought, who on earth was that idiot? And the person you were talking about is oneself. It is almost impossible to debrief a conversation and change it. Yet what you can do is pre-brief that exact same conversation, and chances are you could change it. I believe that every conversation has the ability to be able to change the world. That's why I wrote this little book. It's a book I'm insanely proud of, and I'm proud of it for a good number of reasons. But one big one is it's like a genuine bestseller. We've sold nearly 3 million copies of this book, translated into 29 different languages. This tiny little book right here is it outsold both 50 Shades of Grey and Harry Potter. Legit. For one whole day. I see some of you celebrate your wins, right? I'm taking mine, right? This is how this is going to roll. But why did I tell you it's a best-selling book? It's because I learned that people are good at buying books. What are they not so good at doing? And then taking action on what lives inside. So I figured if I could write the biggest book possible, but cram it into a tiny little vehicle, make the font this big, put lots of white space around it, allow people to get cover to cover in a short period of time, like 72 minutes, chances are they might get to the finish line. And they do because I know every day people tell me that they get to the finish line and it helps. It's a book full of what I call my magic words. What are magic words is they are words that talk straight towards the subconscious brain. Subconscious brain is powerful in the decision-making process. Why? Because it has a yes output and a no output. There's no maybe in the subconscious. How expensive is maybe in your life and your business? How many people almost possibly potentially thought about maybe moving forward with services like yours? It's a lot, right? If more of those people could say heck yes and no why, or more of those people could say hell no and no why, how much quicker could you move? I've learned that if you can increase the rate of decision, you can increase the rate of action. And if you can increase the rate of action, you can increase the rate of transaction. It is that easy and it's that hard. Still confused about this subconscious brain thing? I'll give you some examples of where it served you. Ever remember like a familiar car ride? Where you remember getting into the vehicle in the morning, and then you remember arriving at the destination, and you have zero idea how you got here. That was the subconscious brain that took the drive. Don't worry though, if anything unusual happened, conscious brain would grab the wheel, you'd be back in control in a nanosecond. It's like our human autopilot. Without it, we'd be exhausted moments after we wake up. Still confused about this subconscious brain? View it as nothing more than the little voice inside your head. That's all it is the little voice inside your head. And if you're sat there right now thinking that you haven't got a little voice inside your head, that's the little voice telling you haven't got a little voice. We all have one. Learning to speak to other people is what gives us a fair advantage in almost any given conversation. See, I believe that often the difference between you having a good year and a great year is knowing exactly what to say, when to say it, how to make it count. It is looking at all the micro moments that compound in a 24-hour window that your conversational competence bleeds out different results. How many appointments did you have last month? How many conversations did you have that could influence your business last month? How many interactions do you have on a daily basis that could influence your results? Is it one or is it more than one? Is it 10 or is it more than 10? Is it 100 or more than that? Probably more than that, right? And what you're doing is you're either helping or hurting. Now, I mentioned that I wrote this book that sold a gazillion copies. One of the ways that you write something that is for the masses is you leave a lot out. And that's what makes it applicable for hundreds of different industries and thousands of different people. I think it was Mark Twain, though, that first said, or at least was most famously quoted for saying, that if I had more time, I'd have written a shorter letter. Brevity is challenging. But what I'd love to do in environments like what we have today is to breathe some of the life back into the content that is unique to you folks here at Home Smiles, so we can look at some of the method behind the madness for how we can all be better communicators, have more influence and persuade more often. Would that sound like a useful use of our time? See, what I've learned to be true is if you want to be better at influencing others in your communications, whether this is getting somebody to choose your 365 subscription plan, or whether this is helping a teenager finally tidy their bedroom, the same rules apply. Is to be more influential in any conversation, you only need 3 ingredients. Put them up here on the screen. One is an ingredient called curiosity. The other is one called empathy. And the third is one called courage. We're going to go slow on this on purpose because I want you to see how often this shows up in your world. Like, why do you start conversations from a position of curiosity? Well, let's look at the alternative. If you're not starting a conversation from a position of curiosity, how are you showing up? If you're not curious, you're pushy or you're certain. You ever met somebody who's so sure of themselves, they're so sure of their point of view, they've got that strong I know best mentality? Is it attractive or repulsive? More often than not, it's like, get away from me. Or it creates aggression. They have that strong I know. You're like, do you now? Huh? It makes you want to then fight their point of view. Now, there is not a conversation in the land that you're going to not want to insert some of your expertise in, some of your opinion, some of your value, some of your content. If you are looking to put your content into a conversation before you earn the other person's context, you just made a noisy decision noisier. You, my friends, have a puzzle with this business, and the puzzle is this. Consumers are not experienced buyers of your service. Let me repeat that again. Consumers are not experienced buyers of your service. You know if you walk into a restaurant whether something is good value or bad value. You know if you walk into a restaurant whether this is expensive or whether this is cheap. You know if you walk into a restaurant what the typical status quo is of how this works. Buying services like yours, what are people fearful of? Getting ripped off. Something not being done to a standard, believing that it was right when it wasn't done at all. Reputationally speaking, what do people think of your industry? Right? It's inconsistent, there is a low level of trust, people are concerned about whether you're actually going to do what you say you're going to do. So if we show up and throw up about our brilliance, do they increase trust or decrease trust? It actually decreases. Because what it feels like is it's too good to be true. Do you have a challenge with that sometimes where people are like, that just sounds like too good to be true. That sounds like that's such great value. Where's the catch? Where's the catch? Where's the catch? Does that show up? See, if you can't see the catch, you don't trust it. Like, you know that Southwest flights are cheaper than Delta flights. Where's the catch? I don't know where I'm sitting. Got it. If you're okay with that, you're okay with that. But the catch is the catch, and now you know how to trust this differently. We have to show up to conversations firstly from a curious position, that if we're looking to be able to deliver certainty, we need context.